TGIF, everyone. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Let me hide that. Don't need that anymore. What's happening, good people? Welcome to the show. It's a first Friday night show. There's no such thing as replacement, but we are here, and it's an open panel for ladies. They can join. Free speech, no chair throwing. You throw a chair, I'm going to sit you down in it. That's probably how it's going to end up being. But hello there. I appreciate everyone coming. Zero, my hero. What is this? EN First Lady Neek. All right now. Welcome. DJ Music. Always a pleasure. Classic Ruby, aka Classy Ruby, all the same. Thanks for coming out. Just DeAndre, appreciate it. And Lady Christine Williams, I've been seeing you around. Thank you so much for tuning in. Been seeing you around Facebook and Saturday show. I do appreciate your support. And I do mean that all support is support. A thumbs up, your participation, your financial support to the channel, all of that is support. The mission I have is still the same, which will be to have ladies to come on
speak, have different guests, whether it's male or female, help educate us as a people. You know what I'm talking about. We do need help when it comes down to nutrition, wellness, all those type of things. We need to enhance and have a better life. So that is my goal. Looking for something else, WWF, WWE, whatever's going on out there. You can find that on the TV. May even can find it. Well, yeah, you can find it on YouTube. So knock yourself out. But we want conversation here. Just ladies having conversations. That's important. And I want women to actually tell the truth. Not worry about embarrassment. Oh, well, your opinion and your life is your life. Your opinion is your opinion. If you believe that you walked on all fours 10 years ago, then that's your belief. I'm just going to say, okay, that's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. Does anyone else have an opinion about that? And keep it moving. But that's the most you're going to get from me. I don't, you know, care one way or another. And I don't really mean that in a mean way. I'm just saying your opinion is your opinion. Everyone has one. As they say with a butthole, everyone has one. And speaking of that, anyone heard of a case where no one had one? Somebody was born without one? Anyway, TGIF. I can't say it enough. It's been a long week for me. Um, Even this month been a long month for me. So much was going on. A lot of decision making. The holidays are here. We had Black Friday, then broke Saturday. Where are we at now? I really couldn't say where we are now. A few days before Christmas. Kids, what? They're out of school now. They're on vacation, tearing up stuff under the tree, trying to peel off the labels if you do celebrate that. Playing with the lights, your light bill going up because of that darn tree. You know, that's the only reason why I don't. I'm not traditional because it was all nice and pretty and lovely when I was young, but I always started asking questions. I always been that peculiar person. Not strange. I would say strange, but my friend whose birthday is today, happy birthday, Paris, she told me I was peculiar. So I'll take that. You know, all compliments is a compliment to me, whatever you call it. So she told me I was peculiar, and I said, okay, I'm gonna ride with that. But I used to look around and say, you know, why these parents all upset? The light bill, it's more expensive, and their heating bills and all that. That's because people coming over to your house, they eating your food up, they staying and turn the lights on, got the darn tree glycerin. You spend all that money and all that decoration, you don't want the tree off. But some of those parents say, hey, you better wait till 9 o'clock and turn that bad fell on when them rates go down. But, as kids, we didn't know what they're talking about, did we? No, I don't think so. But anyway, other than that, I hope everyone is having a great weekend or starting off. I have a little small glass of wine. I used to always been known to have a glass of wine on Fridays, but um, because I know I've been tired and I'm going to go get sleepy and go to sleep, I can't do that. And especially if I didn't have my water intake. It may not be important to some people, but hey, it affects your body as you get older. And as some wise people say, keep on living, baby. But I have my little wine today, and I do mean little. It's not even half a glass. And actually, I've had this bottle open for over a month. I think it's kind of stale, to be honest with you, because I took a sip and I don't really feel nothing. So, yeah, I think it's old. But anyway, I have a nice bottle ready for tomorrow. So, hey, it's going to be on. And speaking of tomorrow, we will have a show tomorrow. On Saturdays, the show will be 7 p.m. to 8:30. And then what's the other show? Uh, and I have wait a minute, didn't I give? I thought I sent the. Did I give the link? Yes, Miss Ruby. There is a link. I apologize. Um, yeah, there is a link. And if it doesn't work, let me know. Yeah, you know that wine kicks in. Anyway, um, actually for the show on Saturdays, that one is 7 to 8:30, and that's where the show actually started off for Neo Sector for Women. It started on Saturdays because we had the BGS for Women channel on Fridays, and he has decided to retire the show. So I know there are some women that would like to speak. They like how it is, and some of the guys they do enjoy watching us have dialogue. So I want you guys to please feel free to come and enjoy and participate. Special shout out to BK Hammer. My apologies that I did not see your donation for the channel, but I want to make sure you get a shout out for last Saturday. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I started talking about that for participation. I do appreciate all participation. And for this channel as well, I plan to have guests on that can help um, enrich our spirits, you know. And on occasion, we will have a guy of the week. You know, we do appreciate you guys, some male energy chatting with us ladies. We do appreciate that. What else we have here? Greetings, Lady Topaz. Thank you so much for coming. I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Oh, and let me tell you, hey, I have faults. I have no problem telling you that it's going to take me a little while to navigate between reading your messages, dropping links, multitasking, as you will. But hey, I'm just telling you, it's going to get better. That's all I can say. It's going to get better. But I truly thank you all for tuning in. I hope that you guys do participate. Ladies, you're all welcome. Just let me know. And I apologize if I don't see you say, sure, give me the link right away. Ruby, she's a better navigator than I am. And also, we have Zero. He's in the building and he'll catch it. And we have a little joke about sending a link. We call it a hot link. So we will send that hot link, ladies. And also, for this channel, there's no particular topics, and that's how the other show was ran. I want to keep it that way. So if you have something to talk about, we can talk about it. Um, Now, again, no one is always going to totally agree, and we may bring something up that you're not interested in, and vice versa. Only thing going to happen, we have a couple of comments, say nothing, and move on to the next topic. But you are welcome to join in. I see you, Six Figure Days, and Joe. Welcome, Vonda Harris. And Vonda, you missed your shout out last week. Brother DJ Music in the chat room, he gave you a shout out on his radio station. Um, and Zero, I'm not even gonna put that on you. Let me get it myself. Let me put his link in the chat room. GSRN Radio. Let me put that in here. Global Sensation Radio Network. He has a show on Sundays and Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern. Very good show. You don't get radio anymore. I mean, you get that's what you get on the radio. but you don't find that DJ Music's channel. You actually gonna get uh, some music, some Boys to Men, um, Joe, who else out? Tank. You're just gonna get some. You're gonna get some singing. So there you go. What else we got on? Let me see. Did I cover everything? This show will be every Friday. Um, Time will be starting 9:30 as it always have Central, 7:30 Pacific. And it used to be 4 hours. I thought about keeping it 4 hours, but that's going to depend on participation. And I've said that before. If it's just me sitting up here rambling, me and Ruby sitting up here rambling, I'm gonna cut this thing off. That's just gonna be it because the show is for ladies, not just a couple of ladies. So that's how that's gonna be. Um, oh, and if you just want entertainment, then don't you pay to go get some entertainment? Don't you go and go to the box office, pay how much? What's the going rate now? $49 for your ticket, get your seat, and sit there and watch somebody perform. Well, there's no performances over here, just conversation. So that's how that's gonna be. Who else we got? Fitness mom, greetings, greetings, welcome. Hope the baby's doing good. Do y'all do video reviews? Video reviews. I'm guessing you're talking. Oh, not talking to me. Well then, I'll mind my own business and stay out the chat room. I'm just teasing you. And who is that lovely lady? Is that classic, classy Ruby?
It is. It is. Thank you for having me. I mean, I was going to bring the fanfare, but I thought, for our official first Friday, I won't make it all about me, right? I'll wait till the
Oh,
second one. Yeah. So
oh.
it should be good.
Okay.
You know how we Leos do in the spotlight and blah blah. So,
Oh, okay. That's what that's all about. All right. Tell me.
mhm. Mhm.
I don't be knowing. I don't be knowing all that stuff. I'm behind a little bit in some of the times. I gotta learn these things.
We got to school you behind the scenes so you can know. That's what we do, right? Each one teach
Yeah,
one, as they say.
I like that one. Each one teach one. Whoop, whoop. All right.
I remember I got a T-shirt from Caravana when I was like 7 years old, and it said "Each one teach one" on the front, and on the back it said "Lifting as we rise." Now, I'm not sure where the slogan comes from. I know it's a
Mm-hmm.
popular one. I know that Americans and Canadians alike know it, but man, even when I was a kid, I didn't really get it. But like it sent like chills down my spine, and like I got like goosebumps. Like I understood how deep that was even back then, even though I didn't really get it. So yeah, now I try to use it as much as possible. Even if I don't say it, I try to do it. Each one teach one, lifting as we rise. So I'm gonna teach you, but you're gonna teach me too. You know,
Okay.
even from the mouth of babes, as they say. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
my godson teaches me a lot. That boy is 7, and he teaches me a lot on a daily basis about life that I didn't even know I needed to learn from a 7-year-old. But, but yeah, here we are.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you can learn from anybody and anything, actually. You'd be surprised. If you just stop and listen and don't be so funny about it. Because some people think, oh, you can't teach me nothing. I've been on this earth, boy, for this long, and I did this way, and you don't know what you're
Right.
talking about, boy. Go sit down, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Still
Mm-hmm.
smells Similac behind your ears. Go sit down.
I've heard that. Yeah, it's that ego. It's that ego where, and you know what? I think it comes from when people are young and they are dismissed and ignored as children and as teenagers when, they did know the right thing and, they feel so invalidated they kind of take that message of, well, when you're an adult, you can do that to the youngers, right? So you finally will get that power. So instead of learning the lesson of it was wrong, um, and that maybe sometimes whatever adult could have learned something from you, could have saved themselves from something, so you're not going to make the same mistake. They go, yes, finally it's my turn. Yes, you're young. Shut up, boy. You know, so it's like,
Right, you can learn something. And then the way things are just going, shoot, it's always something to learn. You can't stop learning because as soon as you learn something, they'll change it.
mm-hmm,
Uh, little small, well, I guess it's a big example for me. Um, I had this particular job when I get about 2000. I know I was working about 2008 or so, and they stopped that paper resume. So when you go online, you have to fill out something, you have to go online to fill out for job bids and everything. So that was new, but I
mm-hmm,
was cool with my job, whatever. But when it was time to look for something, then I'm like, okay, what I got to do? Or fill out an account, make a password. It got to be what, 8 letters and special character? What kind of mess is this? I got enough passwords in my life. So things change. You
mm-hmm,
just don't do the same thing anymore. You used to go in at one time, you would go into different stores and walk up to human resources or customer service and ask, "You guys are hiring? Can I have a let's say resume? Can I have an application?"
mm-hmm,
None of that. You have to
mm-hmm,
go online, create a darn profile. I'm like, a profile account just to apply for. What kind of mess is this? But things have changed. No, that's just how it is. Things change.
yes. Yes, it was really difficult for. See, this is one of the things that I talk about with Zennials, whether y'all want to believe they exist or not, we do. It's the group that was born about 1980 to 1987 because we were teenagers when the world changed irreparably, to this whole technology thing. So, you think about it, even like 17, 18, 19, you're being trained on how to get a job, how to be successful in school and employment and all
Hmm.
of that. And you've just barely mastered it. You're just coming into it. And by the time you get out there into the workforce, everything they taught you doesn't it's no good. So, but you're brand new. You don't have coping skills yet for you to try to make a quick switch or whatever because you know what I mean? Like you're again, yes, you're wet behind the ears as someone used in the chat room, right? You don't know what the hell you're doing. So you got yourself all pretty because I was taught you got to make sure you are wearing the right clothing. Like you can't just roll up into somewhere wanting to hand out resumes or fill out applications, you look like a bum. They're gonna let you fill it out, and that goes into the garbage, if not the bottom of the barrel. So, you make yourself all pretty. You got your makeup on. You did everything perfect. You walked in. You had your folder, so you looked like you were business and ready to go in a briefcase, damn near, right? And it's like,
Right.
hi, I saw that you guys are hiring, and so I was looking to fill out an application and leave my resume with you, please. Right? And they go, "Oh, okay, hold on." And you're like, "Okay, this is anticlimactic." And then they write something on like a post-it note, and might as well just stick it on your forehead because that's how useful you're feeling at this point. And they're just like, "Yeah, you go to this website and you apply online." And your first thought is you were told you were told that you could apply online. Some people had that option, but it wasn't really a good thing to do because then you didn't have the personal element. So people are receiving thousands of resumes. Yours is just one
Hmm.
in the bunch. So it was like, okay, now they're not even going to accept the in-person resumes. I
Yeah.
don't know what to do then. I didn't prepare for that competition. What am I supposed to do? I don't know how to find a job anymore suddenly. And I just started. Like just started. It's only downhill from here. That's actually why I think you see there's like a group of us right now that are all starting channels. We all have channels. We all have Patreons. We all, and it's like it's such it's so regular to see people who are in their 30s right now
Hmm.
going this way. And I honestly think that's why, because, we went through our 20s, everything we were taught wasn't applicable anymore. And so now what do you do? Mm, I don't know,
Right.
right? But then you hear about all the success that people in your generation, people who invented Facebook, people who really kind of were the pioneers of the YouTube channels and whatever, being so successful with this online stuff. So you go, okay, well, I guess I'll do the online thing, but we don't really understand it a lot of times. So we don't understand how to make ourselves successful online because, again, no one taught us. So, the 20-year-olds are passing us up because they know what to do. They know automatically. They got a tag, they got a this, they got a that. They make sure that, oh, they already have their social networks built up because they have 10K people on Facebook and 17K on this one. And you're like, oh, I needed that. Like, I didn't even think about social media for like until the
Okay.
last couple of years. I'm social media. What do I need social media for? Well,
Hmm.
you needed to advertise, the posts that you're making. Oh, really? I didn't even think about that. I didn't even like. You see what I'm saying? Like
Uh-huh.
it's we're a little bit behind. It's like we need a class. We need a class on technology, the technological era 101. That's what I think.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, what happened to me I wanted to share. Oh, something else that's changed. Like for um, income taxes. I used to do people income taxes because my friends, they're always single, whatever, so that was simple to do. And they just gave me a few dollars, and we went on our happy way. And then next thing you know, it goes online. But you still had an option to go and get paper forms, and you still can do that today. But they made it so simple now that you can do it online, you can do it for free, and have it electronically delivered. So it's not yet to, do it online, print it out, and mail it. It started off like that. Now you do
Mhm.
it and you do it, submit it electronically, and bam, it's there. So
Right.
again, so many things are changing and has changed, and you may not be able to keep up with it, but you can't just throw it off and like, I don't want to do that. Well, in my time, we used to do this, and I ain't think about no computer. I don't trust them things. And you will have people to say they don't trust it only because they don't understand it.
Mhm. That's true. That's true. And they don't want to, again, going back to what we were saying originally, they don't want to listen to the youth who do understand it at least, right? Because they
Hmm.
think they know better. And well, you don't. And it's unfortunate. It's weird. It's a weird kind of place to be because elders are supposed to be teaching the youth, not the other way around, not to a large extent. But if you raised your kids right, they're bright kids, and that means they can pick stuff up. That's what kids are made to do. They're sponges. They pick everything up. So it's
Hmm.
not about them teaching you common sense, right? It's not about them teaching you how to live life, but they can teach you this skill. And while they're teaching you the skill, you're teaching them the common sense of it all. So they explain to you the internet in full. You explain based on everything they just showed you and what you just learned now, how it is that a predator could be ending up in their bedroom, right? So
Right.
it's still a back and forth. You are still very valuable and you are still the wise one, quote unquote, if you let the youth teach you.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Be vulnerable to learn something. Be stubborn and don't. Those are your two options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just say, hey, I don't know. Um, like growing up for me, when VCRs came out, my parents like, oh, baby, you need to do that. I don't know what to do. Okay, then you go ahead and you hook that up to kids. I mean, young. I got it. They program the remote. They hook everything up. They got you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, just and learn. And that's another thing. Sometimes people do things so quickly. They already have the knowledge and know how to do it. They do it so fast. Just say, hey, wait a minute, what did you do now? You hooked up what? You did? You pressed what? So you can learn. Because a lot of times you let somebody do it, you snap your fingers like, okay, it's done. I'm gonna let it go. But you still haven't learned.
Mm-hmm. You
Yeah,
know,
so go ahead.
it's it reminds me of my godson, because that boy, I'm telling you, like he's like an idiot savant when it comes to anything technology. So before he could communicate English words, he could work an iPhone, right? Like very effectively. Like, it was weird. And the funny thing is, right, people would think like he's too young to be verbal, but my friend would hand her phone and say, I can't find YouTube, Simi, find YouTube for me. And damned if the boy didn't pull up YouTube. But it wasn't a one trick show. She could ask for Chrome. She would ask for different apps. And as long as it was an app that he had used before, so he knew what it was, he could pull it up for you. And you're like,
Mm,
how? Right? Or she'd be like, oh, I forget how to do this. And she would just hand her phone to him and he would fix it for her. It was amazing because you're like, he's like two. How does he know how to do this? But that their brains are
wow.
made to adapt to everything, whatever environment you put them in, even ones we can't even imagine now as humans, they will figure it out. That's what they're meant to do. So, we got to realize we got little learning machines that we're producing, and sometimes we got to use their talents when things shift like this.
Right. Think about how they pick up the language. You curse around them, they say it, and you tell them, "Oh, that's bad."
Mm-hmm.
I would used to look at different people like, "Okay, so why you doing it?" And their answer is, "Cause I'm grown."
Right.
Okay, so okay.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The do as I say, not as I do thing. Like, uh-huh. Yeah.
Hmm.
All you taught me is that as soon as I can consider myself an adult, I'm going to do all those things. All of them. As soon as I can. All right.
Okay, let's see what this is all about.
Right? You can't use that excuse. And it's unfortunate, because we do hear that a lot. Well, because I'm grown, and they don't realize. I think these parents don't realize the damage they do when they make those statements. When you know you are doing wrong, even as an adult, and you do it in front of your kids because you think they're too young, they don't really notice, and one day they ask you, and you say, because I'm grown, what you just taught them is that this is normal adult behavior. This is what adults are supposed to do. So
Yeah.
if that's what you're teaching them, remember that they're hanging on to that at least subconsciously. And so when they get of age and they do that thing that you were doing when they were 4, just remember you already told them all those years ago that this is what grown folks do. Just remember that.
I really appreciate my mom. She showed me this trick because she had smoked when she was younger. Well, I was younger rather, and she would inhale, and I think she took a handkerchief and she blew the smoke through there, and it would turn black. And of course, as a kid, you go, ugh. So I asked him like, why do you do that? And she told me I
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't do it, and she told me it's very hard to quit. And I appreciate that she told me the truth. Not don't do it, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said so and all of that. She always would explain. That's one thing about my parents. When they were alive, they always explained things to me, and then also I couldn't help myself. I had questions. I've
Mm-hmm.
just was like that. Just didn't ask weird question. I just asked questions to make it make sense to me,
Right.
and I really appreciate that about them.
I love that, and I love hearing that because, when people ask me questions, about, for example, how did I not repeat the cycle in my mom's family where everybody had their first child out of wedlock in their teens? How did I beat that cycle?
Hmm.
And that's what it came to. My mom, first of all, she was training me and rearing me to keep my legs closed before I was even thinking about trying to open them. You know what I mean? Like, long before puberty struck, I knew I was a special, precious gift. And any man that was worth having my gift would think I was worth waiting for. Um, what did that mean when I was 6? Nothing. What did I remember when I was 13? That I was a special precious gift because it had
Mhm.
been beaten into my brain. Even when things went sideways between me and my parents in my teens,
Mhm.
all of those things that were beaten into me, I remember. And when I say beaten, I mean just verbally, constantly, constantly, constantly. But like you said, it's also those honest answers because people
Yeah.
think it's mean, but my mom would tell me all the time, listen, Ruby, you are the best thing in my life and the best thing that God ever could have given me. I just wish he gave you to me 10 years later. Right? Like, I mean, she'll tell me that, right? And
Wow.
yo,
Okay.
and so it would hurt, on one side, it would hurt my feelings. I'd feel like I'm a mistake. I held her back, whatever. And so, yes, there's the personal feeling that makes you feel a little bit bad, but it's real. You know what I mean? And so I
Mhm.
knew that. So I knew, and she would talk about how hard it was to be a single mom. And she had a co parent who had me 50% of the time. And she still talked
Mhm.
about how hard it was to be a single mom and how much of her life she had to put on hold and how many opportunities she missed out on. And then she would tell me, I'm not saying it to try to make you feel bad. I'm saying it so you know and you understand um, you know, and as soon as I was old enough to kind of understand concepts, right? So we'll say around
Mhm.
8, 9 years old, 7, 8, 9. I was a precocious kid, so I picked up on stuff quicker. But and so I knew all of those things. I understood that no matter what society was trying to sell me, that being a 15-year-old teen parent wasn't gonna be fun. I
Uh-huh.
understood that whatever little problems you have in a relationship with a man, the baby does not bring you closer, it tears you apart.
Yep.
Because my mom told me that too. So it's like, or even being in love with the bad boy. My mama was in love with the bad boy, the cool, sexy bad boy.
Mhm.
And she was the nerdy little valedictorian. She wasn't on the bad path. She fell in love with, the bad boy, and they decided to go and, have sex, and that was her breaking her virginity with this man, and oops, now she's pregnant. That's how my mom ended up being valedictorian of her class while pregnant with me. So
Mhm.
and it's funny, she was sending me pictures from her teen years and stuff and being like, I was about 3 months pregnant with you, I didn't even know yet, and sending me
Mm.
pictures of the time. And it's crazy because she looks like a kid because she was a kid. So I think that honesty factor, as much as we want to protect children, we got to find a way, I think, of being honest with them, without it being mean, without it being too graphic, but still honest.
Right.
At least we don't
Yeah.
want them to repeat our mistakes. I mean, you know
Yeah, you want the best for your child. Yeah. I
exactly.
agree. At least we should. At least we should.
Exactly. At least we should. But I mean, come on. Just a couple weeks ago, we were watching that video of that woman who showed up at the school to drag her kid out of the cafeteria and then beat his ass, drag him back to in front of the teachers, and then beat his ass there. So, you know,
Mhm.
we know in that case that was not child rearing, that was not selfless, that was not for the best of the child, that was all about her. So and we know it's harder for it's harder for teenagers to give kids what I think that they need, really, because when you're a teenager you're still a kid, so everything should be about you because you're a kid. That's what kids do. They just me because they got to grow and learn and develop, and competition and whatever to find their place. So I think that's why being a teen parent is not the bee's knees, because you're supposed to give all that up and suddenly figure out how to be selfless at 15, 16, 17. Okay, I couldn't have done it, but okay.
Yeah, sounds a little rough. Just think,
Hmm.
body of developing, hormones kicking,
Oh,
all kind of
look at
stuff going on.
right. Let's look at Vonda's comment in the chat. So
Mhm.
she said, and I wish she would have come up to say it. There's still time, Vonda. But she said, sometimes you want the best for your child, and you do the best for your child, and your child does not want the best for themselves.
Broken heart. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's could be true too. Yeah.
Why do you think that happens when you've got these kids and by all accounts, I mean even by their own account if you speak to them, they had that support system. They had
Hmm.
parents who, sacrificed and loved them and did everything. Everything, they checked all the boxes. They got married before marriage. They didn't have too many
Hmm.
kids. They took care of their kids. They loved their kids. They stayed together. What is this? Why is it that this kid does not want the best for themselves? Why do you think that happens?
It's could be so many different reasons. Some can be I'm just going to be rebellious because I want to. Maybe rebellious because I know it's going to get at you because I'm mad at you because of something that you don't know about and we didn't discuss, and I don't know how to express myself about it, so I'm going to express it this way. So there's
Mm-hmm.
just so many different things, and they've taken the counselors and really people that you can talk to out of schools
Mm.
because of the different budgets.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, I know church used to be a place, I really can't speak on it now if it is or not. Used to be a place where there's someone that you can talk to and trust, and it can kind of help you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of things are missing when it comes down to that nourishing. Even get it out, nurturing, nurturing. Thank you.
Nurturing. See that wine?
Cut it out.
That cursing wine.
That's
So
right.
good, but so bad for the
Them
for your
darn
speech skills.
red grapes, I tell ya. But anyway. Anyway, no. But yeah, it's just so many different things, and we don't. Oh, and then the other thing too. Now that I think about it, I'm thinking about a family I knew. My friend. Well, yeah, my friend. I think there was about nine of the children. I think it was nine of them,
Mm.
and their parents had to work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, hush, zero, but that's true. Um, they had to work all the time. They barely saw their parents. And there were a couple of the kids that acted out because of that. They didn't have their parents. And some children or even people, they couldn't handle that. And
Mm-hmm.
they had a problem with that. They got attention because they did something at school. Well, now my parent at least can take off and come up to the school. And now that they're off, they're going to stay home with me because they're not going back to work. I have my parent with me. So there are just so many different ways that kids act out for many different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I do remember that, and that was interesting. And I saw that, even though I think I was 11 or 12, and I noticed that about some of her siblings. But I remember that very clearly. And look at what's going on now. Shoot, you can have two parents working, and sometimes that's not even enough. So they have a second job, a hustle, or just think
Mm-hmm.
if it's just one parent, they're working themselves to the bone.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's something. And
Yep.
and just think about that story that you just mentioned. Remember the woman she mentioned taking off work to come up there to the school.
Yes. Yep. Yep, she
Hmm.
did. And that was probably detrimental because, not the only kid. I think the story said in total there's 5 kids in that house.
Yeah,
Um, you know,
five.
from being a baby to I think a 12-year-old. So
Yeah.
right, that's a lot of kids. It's not like you got a couple 17-year-olds, 17, 16-year-olds who could at least help you with the kids. You have a lot of babies basically. With open mouths and empty hands. They can't help. They just need.
Hmm.
Right here, feed me, clothe me, give me, give. Um, and you can't lose that good job.
Hmm.
You can't bypass that overtime because not only are you paying, to feed and clothe and shelter them, but you've got to pay to make sure that they've got shelter. over their heads. I was not shelter, sorry. You have to make sure that they also have like childcare, right?
Oh yeah.
Because
Hmm.
they're not in school yet. So someone's got to watch them while you're at work. You got to make sometimes pay for a nanny after the childcare because your kids are going to be coming home from school and someone's got to feed them and watch them because you might be
Hmm.
working overtime again or double overtime. So it's a lot,
And
definitely
you
a
have
lot.
a yeah, you have a higher paying job. That's more hours you have to put in there. If you're in management, you can't just leave because it's 6 o'clock. You have to stay because there's money missing out the drawer or whatever the situation is.
Hmm.
Time for what is that? Starts with an I. I can see the word, can't say it, but are you inventory time?
Mm.
So you can't leave because it's 6 o'clock. Yeah, your child is sitting at the school like, "Where's mama? Where my mama?" But you can't leave or whatever the situation is. And how much is it with childcare if you know where you are? Because I'll give you an example of how much it is here in a situation. I have a
Mm.
friend. He had two sons. Child care for them was $1,200 a month. That is an entire paycheck.
Wow. Yeah. Like,
Every two
wow.
weeks, one of those paychecks. Now you only get two checks per month, so one of those paychecks went to child care.
Like, that's my whole mortgage. Like, wow.
Yes, so that's what's going on over here. And they were trying to think, how old were they? 7 and 5. I think they were 5 and 7
Oh my
because
God.
even if school lets out at, let's say, 3 o'clock, they have to go to aftercare. And
Mm-hmm.
I think most of those, it ends at 6 o'clock. And if you're late, they charge you so much every 15 minutes. And I forgot what that is.
Mm,
Oh, oh
mm.
wow. Look, a fitness mom said it's 2 grand for her a month. Good Lord. Is that
Damn.
two children or three? I don't recall if you
Please
had
tell me you have 5 kids and that's why it's costing 2 grand. That's so much money. Oh my God. Like, I can't believe they would do that to someone with 1, 2 kids. Are you kidding? Oh my God.
$10.
$10 a minute.
Yeah. Right. So, because I used to work at a daycare, but it was so long ago, and of course the prices are much more. Yeah, two kids. Okay, I wasn't for certain, but yeah, think
Wow.
of that. Now that's 12 in her state, well, city, and then in Chicago here it was 1,200 for his two boys. So just think about that. Now, just think a day off. If your child is sick, you have to come get that child. They got to go. They do not play when it comes down to that.
Yep.
Now, you could end up getting on probation because whatever the situation is, you had to take off. You could only have so many days. And, with these jobs, normally you only get 2 weeks per year. And you have to work the entire, or so close to 9 months in order to get those 2 weeks, and then you have to schedule it in advance when you get it, and you had small children. Come on, that's just life. You have to take off, but it's very expensive, extremely expensive, and um, that's something to think about when it comes down to these women or families having children and the expense for it. Those kids, some of them, they don't see their parents that often. And that's what I was getting at anyway, just to say that, hey, some of them they act out just to have them around. I'd rather have you fussing, boy, you made me take off work. Boy, I'm missing a day pay. And that boy is just so happy to have his mom or his dad. He heard what they're saying, but he don't quite understand it, but he knows that mom or dad is right there with him. And that's what he wants.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I just wanted to let you know we have our first order for a hot link.
Hot
Ah!
link coming up, mild sauce or hot? Which one you want, babe?
Mm, 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 mm. I might want honey garlic. I don't know. We'll see what I feel like next week.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat room because you'll get no love. You just be sitting right there in the backstage. I ain't clicking on nothing. Just telling you that now. Trolls, whoever, you
If I
you're
don't
gonna
know
be
exactly who you are, you ain't coming up here.
you're
Just so
gonna
we're
be
clear.
so disappointed. I have no shame.
But listen, Shar has no shame and she has no bleeps to give. And the thing is, it gets worse because you think about alcohol makes you more of who you are. So the fact that she might seem like she cares a little bit, oh, that's just social training, right? You give her a couple sips of alcohol, she's like, nah. Mm-mm. Well, why don't you give them a chance, Sharp? No, I'm not even. No, no, sorry. If they wanted a chance,
I
they'd be
like that
someone I
song.
recognize.
I like that song people play in their videos sometimes. Hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hey, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. I like that one.
That's hilarious. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, I gotta
I like
find a
that one too.
video. Yeah, I gotta find a video
That's
because
good.
people have they put. That's how I found out about it. Listening to some video YouTube videos. I'm like, that's fun.
Right? You know what you need to do? You need to get that all queued up and so when it happens, you could just play the song, right? Everyone will know what happened.
I'm gonna have the hookup for I'm told for Christmas for something to do that. So um it's coming up. It's
Mm.
definitely in mind. It's just on the back burner right now. Yeah, I like that.
Nice. Mhm. That's a good Christmas gift.
That's right, Zero. Anybody can get this note.
Mhm. Trust me, I get to know all the time because I'm like the nice one. I'm like, Char, maybe, but if you think about it like this, and Char will listen, hear me out, and I think I'm making ground, right? Because she's letting me speak. That's not the way Char works. She'll let you speak all you want, and at the end of your sentence, she's still gonna say the same no she said before you started talking. So it's like, why? Why? No, Char's no's are hot and ready. They're ready for you.
I don't mean no harm, but hey.
Ooh, is that fitness mom? Is that our circle we got up here?
Yes, I think she's going to join in about the daycare situation and all that good stuff. I think that's what she's going to talk about. Let's
Mm.
see.
Oh,
Hey,
yes.
yeah, yeah,
Good evening.
$2,000 for two children. The younger the children, the higher the daycare. And my son is was an infant. Now he's moving into a toddler years. So that's how that goes.
Damn. That's
Mm.
crazy. Is that through like okay, so is that private or is that through like I guess a place that you bring your kid to?
Yeah, well, if you go like the home daycare, then that's a little cheaper. Like probably for like to take it to somebody's in-home daycare will
Mm-hmm.
probably be about 1,200 to 1,400 a month. But I take them to a center instead. Take my children to a center, and that's
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
2,000. But yeah, in-home daycare will probably be like between 12 and 14 a month.
Wow.
Wow. And what city is this?
Uh, right outside of Dallas. I know
Oh,
it's $300 for an infant. Well, 300 and some odd dollars a week for an infant, and 200 and some dollars for a toddler a week. So that's $500, 500 some odd dollars per week for both children. And it's over 2,000. So I just rounded down to 2,000. But it's more like
Wow.
2,126 or something like that.
Oh my
wow.
god. That is crazy. So I guess basically, unless you find a job where you're making a lot more than that, it's almost not worth working. It kind of does make sense when people say, well, they stay on welfare or whatever because when you look at childcare, it's so expensive that the jobs that I can find, I can barely pay for childcare, and it wouldn't allow me to pay for like, a rent and clothing and food and stuff like that.
Mm.
Are there subsidies you can get? Like, I mean, is there any way that you can get, I
If
don't know,
you're
based on income?
if you have low income, but if you
Mm,
and low income is like 30,000, some places 40. But I mean, if you're a family of three making $30,000, then I mean, come on now.
$30,000, and you got to give up. Let's see, 2 grand a month, 24,000 a year. Am I doing my math? I'm terrible at that. 2 times 12 is 24. So that's 20. Is that 24,000 a year? I'll add an extra zero. Where I'm at.
Yeah, I think that is exactly 24,000 a year.
Good Lord. Somebody take away a couple of zeros. Wow. Just think about that. You got 30,000, you $30,000 and you gotta give 24. That leaves you with 6, and that's even if that's take home pay. And then how much is your rent? And then to eat and transportation and toiletries. And I'm not finished adding up stuff. Oh my
Yeah, that's
goodness.
why, if you make that amount of money, the government will usually step in and help with subsidies and all this other stuff. That's when the government will step in and help fund your daycare for you. But once you're
Mm,
above like 40, 50,000, then the government isn't going to usually step in for that unless you have like a whole lot of kids at that point.
okay, 40,000, and they're not going to help me now. And I paid
right,
24,000. That leave with 16, and then rent mortgage usually is 1,000, and so that's
right.
12. And what I got left? Woo!
Better find the nearest WIC office.
It's almost like I said, it
Goodness.
seems like it's motivation to either stay on welfare or to stay very lowly employed as far as your income, because unless you're making like what 70,000 or so, your income, what you actually get to take home after childcare, is still really, really low. That's crazy.
People don't really
Wow.
know how much time childcare is, and usually, because I'm in a lot of mom groups. I've had
Uh-huh.
my oldest is about to be an adult now, so she's looking for a husband, and then I have my two younger ones, and the first thing people are like, I'm a baby, I'm having a baby, I'm pregnant, I'm about to do this, that, and other, and then as soon as the baby is born and they got to go back to work, they hit that
Mhm.
time to start shopping for childcare, and the first thing you always hear is, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. Nobody told me it was this, it was that." Like, it's out
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that is something else. I mean, I
Right.
know it's
And then,
expensive. It's just for some reason just hit me harder just now.
well, I'm wondering what about, okay, because now you have baby to toddler. So like how much are diapers that you're paying for every year as well, or with the baby formula, because those
Hmm.
are extras on top of, regular things you have to get for
Hmm.
babies. How much do you pay for diapers?
Don't forget the clothing and stuff like that. So,
Mm,
especially as the weather's changing, uh,
mm.
baby grow out
Shoes,
their clothing quick.
right? The
Mm.
shoes, like it's crazy because I remember one of the first things, like most of the people that are new moms that are my friends or family, one of the first things they say within the first few months is they did not understand how much money they were going to be spending on diapers. Didn't understand. It's such an extra cost that they didn't really like they thought about everything else. They didn't think that diapers were going to be that much. They didn't realize they'd go through that many of them, I guess, a week. So, wow. I'm just so floored about that price. I didn't even know it could be that high. I honestly didn't.
And on top of that, if you take your child to daycare, especially the daycare is required by law to change the diaper about roughly every 2 hours, whether it's dirty or not. So you got to make
What?
sure that you keep the diapers fully stocked at the daycare as well.
Wow, now
Whether it's
that's
dirty or not.
definitely new. I knew nothing of that. We just changed them when they were wet. Oh wow.
Right?
And
And
it's your responsibility to have to bring the diapers or to pay a certain amount that they use their diapers.
no, you have to bring the diapers, and they started it so that a lot of babies have a diaper rash and all that other
Mhm.
stuff. So to make sure
Mhm.
that they keep the daycares like the babies are on a schedule now, and they have to check off each diaper change, and you'll get a sheet, and it's every 2 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours at most. It'll be a fresh diaper on the baby, fresh diaper on the baby. And it'll say dry or wet or poop. And dry means it was a clean diaper. But of course, they had to change it anyway. So,
Wow.
Wow. Like,
Yeah, that's new news to me. So you have diapers for the home, diaper for the daycare. Wow.
and yeah, like you got to mix your own formulas and all that stuff. Make sure you bring enough bottles because if they will only use a bottle for a certain. The daycares have to be very strict on everything to make sure that they're like they don't mix the formula, nothing like that. They want to make sure that they are all above ground, where you can't say that the child was fed bad formula or this, that, and other, or the child had diaper rash. Just as all to make sure that there's no neglect or abuse cases brought up against the daycare for any kind of things that may or may not happen to your child.
I guess that makes sense because, I mean,
Mhm.
it makes a sick, sad kind of sense that because there have been cases of obvious neglect and negligence, that, I mean, this is a way of forcing basically the worst of them to do something that they should have naturally been doing, which is checking the baby's diapers regularly to make sure they're not wet or dirty. It seems common sense, but you get these stories in the news, and if just because it only happened once in the news doesn't mean it's not happening a lot. It just didn't always hit the news.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's one thing with daycare, the whole schedule, the diapers, the formula, everything. They just want to make sure that you can't say that they poisoned your child because diaper rash can be a grounds for abuse if it's really bad. Because some parents might say, the daycare isn't changing my diaper, the baby's diaper. He's getting all this diaper rash. It's coming from them not properly taking care of the baby, and they might try to sue or this, that, and other or whatever.
Mhm.
So I have a question about that, because I don't have a baby. So with diaper rash now, like, so I mean, daycare is a long portion of the baby's day. I understand. But wouldn't the parent, long before it was a really severe diaper rash, shouldn't the parent have noticed something was going on?
See,
And
that's the thing with diaper rash. Because I mean, for my son to get diaper rash, you really have to have a diaper on him for a long time, and it only has to be like a number two diaper. Because you could have
Mhm.
a pee diaper on my son for hours, and his skin is like, nah, I ain't gonna do it. You ain't gonna get me. But my daughter's skin was so sensitive.
mm,
So, like with my daughter's
Okay.
skin, if she had a pee diaper on her for longer than a certain amount of time, she was starting to break out with rash. But my son, he's like, mm. And I'm like, so if I see, like when I took my daughter to daycare, if I saw a diaper rash on her, I would treat it like I normally treat it and do everything because I know, hey, she gets diaper rashes. But if I see a diaper rash on my son, then I'm like, what did you do to my son? Because he does not get diaper rashes.
right. Okay.
Can I get off a diaper rash and go back to this $24,000 a year? I'm just trying to say that that is some of the salaries we have here in Chicago, and I'm still, I'm still shocked. Is there any tax write off or anything for this $24,000 a year?
You can claim child care expenses.
Oh, good. Okay. Phew. All right. All for the whole 24,000.
Oh well, probably not all of it. That's getting into CPA stuff. But I do know that my husband does claim the child care expenses on when he takes that's the CPA takes the stuff to the CPA. I don't know how
Okay.
much he claims off it, but I know that child care expenses does get claimed at the end of the.
Okay. If you'd like to share that when you find out, inquiring minds would like to know. So thank you.
I'm pretty sure it's most likely the whole thing because when you file the whole child tax credit stuff or independent children and blah blah blah, like that's a write off. Take the child care, the expenses of the child care and everything. It should be a write off.
And I'm with you, DJ Music. I'm sure a lot of those deductions are eliminated, especially when we find out about it.
Hmm.
Anyway.
Especially when we find out about it. Yep.
Hmm. Wow. Goodness. And I had already saw a lot of parents having, trouble just with the price of it and getting some help and all that. Just imagine they're more than likely, in my opinion, they're probably not getting deductions because they have the lower income, so they're not even probably filing taxes. It depends on their what kind of money they're getting. That's
Well, if you
something
have a
else.
lower income, then filing taxes for children is better then.
Oh
Well, not
yeah.
better, but I think you get what either 1,500 or 2,000 per child on your taxes back if you have a low income.
Nice.
I don't know how many children to go up to. I remember at one point it was like two children or something like that, and people used to sell off the other ones. But that was the way when I was younger. So I don't
Uh
know
huh.
how many children you can claim for child tax credit now. But I know it's like you could get three, five, 600, three, $4,000 back for children on taxes.
Okay.
Wow.
I do
For
have a
the
tax
child tax
person.
credit people.
Yeah, there's someone on YouTube. I do want to talk to them. I think they're doing taxes. I'll get back to you on that because I have some questions, and I think he would be a good guest. I have to reach out to him. The
Yeah,
whole
because
year is
I know
pretty much.
people used to sell the kids off for taxes. Like because when I was younger, like I said, you could claim two people, and if you had
Hmm.
like six kids, you can find people who don't have kids, and then be like, hey, you can claim two of my kids for a certain on your taxes, and you give me a certain amount back, and you keep a
Okay.
certain amount. That's what
Oh, I
they
remember that game. Yeah, I
back
remember that
when I
game.
was younger. When I was younger, they used to do that. Sell off
Right.
the tax side.
Wow.
You got a child? Yeah, man. Psst. I give you a couple of hundred for that child. Okay, man. Social security number two two
That's so
seven
bad.
57 2821. When you gonna get your check?
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that game. That was something in the hood. I remember that one.
Yeah, that's the 90s and 80s.
Okay. In the
So, how does
90s.
your child tax credit work? So, you guys, because we have a child tax credit here, and we have baby bonus too. But it works slightly differently, I think, because we don't get it like at tax time. They estimate what I guess you spent the previous year, and then they send you a monthly check based on that. And the lower your income, the higher that check is. And then you also get baby bonus. So everyone, regardless of whether or not you make a good income, gets baby bonus per child. You just get sent it. You could be married or not. You can make a lot of money or not. You get a baby bonus just for having babies here. But then we have our child tax credit is sent to you monthly as well. So you get like a monthly check in the mail. So do you guys get it like, is it broken up or do you just get it all come tax time?
Hmm.
One lump sum at tax.
Okay.
It's usually a couple of thousand, depending on the number. Like I said, two children back when I remember, two children will bring in about $3,000, or a little under 3,000, or something like that. It was 1,000 and some change per child.
Oh yeah, no. So that's really different than here, because like people who are say low income, they could get for having a couple children, they could have $1,000, maybe $1,500 a month in child tax credit per month, being sent back to them. That's not their baby bonus, which is additional free money, which could be up to like if you're on welfare, it could be like $2,000 a month. So you can make $3,500 a month from having two kids. Does
No, we only get the 1,000 and some change total.
total that one time? Like damn. So I guess it balances out because I mean the cost of living in a lot of places in America is a lot cheaper than it is here. But then, you know, there are some things I guess like when it comes to this child tax credit, because I don't even think, well actually childcare is still expensive here, but it's not that like $2,000 American. That's like over $3,000 Canadian. I can't even. It blows my mind. That's so crazy.
Mm.
Yeah, I tell you, it's like you said, it is deductible on taxes. And like the people who do claim children, I don't know. I haven't uh, been did the taxes in years, but when I was doing it, it was 3,000 for two children. So yeah,
Right.
it's
Mm.
like you can't. It's like a lot of people. They say that women are having these children that they can't afford, but I mean, if you really can't afford to have your children, what you can do that's very lucrative is maybe open an in-home daycare and take care of other people's children with your children and make some of these thousands a month. Because I mean, if someone's
Uh-huh.
paying 1,100 a month for a day to daycare, why not pay it to you or the person who needs it? You know, if you're a mother with a small child and you can't afford daycare and you're not making a lot of money, why not, go through the process of becoming a licensed daycare provider yourself?
Yes.
Hmm. Okay. Do you know anything
Hmm.
about that? Like, how much do you have to go through to be a licensed daycare provider? Like, are these people who have these in-home places and they're licensed? Is it safe? Is it actually a good option? It's a cheaper option, but it is a good option.
Well, I mean, to get it depends on different establishments require different checks and balances for safety wise. Here in Texas, there are three options. You could be a licensed daycare provider in home, a registered daycare provider in home, or I forgot the other one. Where basically one is where you got to go through a whole bunch of classes. They check you out every month, and they follow up on they when they inspect your house. I mean, they will literally come in your house, go in every closet you have, go in your drawers, on your dresser, go behind the under the beds and all this other stuff because they want to check your whole house for any safety hazards to include guns and blah blah blah. So that kind of
Hmm.
in-home daycare usually gets extremely regulated and checked up for safety. So those are a little more safer than like the other ones. Like there's one that they don't even come to the house, but you're only allowed to have three kids. They don't even come to your house to check it. You just like, hey, that's the daycare over there. But
Mm.
if they get a complaint, they'll come and check it. And then there's
Right.
another time that they'll check like once a year, or if
Mm.
they get a complaint. But then there's the one that allows the most money because you get the most amount of kids, and they check those places every month.
Right. Okay.
But if you're just like, I just want to babysit two kids after school, then you don't have to go through that whole process for just babysitting two kids. But if you want to babysit like four kids and more, then they're gonna come to your house.
Okay. Then you have to.
Yeah, because you have to have a certain amount of room. Um, and then I know what they have community colleges. You can go take those classes. You have to have so many different hours. And because I have a friend that was doing that, and she had to use her basement because I think she had maybe 6 kids. So you definitely need room. So the more children you have to have a certain amount of room. And yeah, so It is something you can do, but the more children, so you can get the more money, the most amount of money, is going to require, of course, space. So that's something
Right.
also to think about.
Well, I remember when I was a kid and there was a house I got dropped at that, well, I guess she was a daycare provider, but at home. I'm pretty sure she wasn't registered with anyone ever. And there was like, there was so many of us. I remember there being a lot of us. Like, it wasn't like, I think there was like maybe 15, 20 kids easy inside this woman's house. And it's maybe a 3, 4 bedroom bungalow type style house. So I mean, it was not a big house. I remember that house, and I'm guessing it was the right price. It was in the neighborhood. It was the right price. Bunch of the kids go
Hmm.
there. They come out alive. So all right, well that's where I'm dropping my kid off because got to work to feed her. Um, but with that being said, I mean, my mom took me out of that house because of the lady hit us with spoons once. And I remember because she was telling us we're not allowed to be inside the kitchen. So we were being assholes and sitting outside the kitchen and like putting our toe inside the kitchen, And so she got frustrated and she hit us with she hit our toes with the spoon, but still, um, some random woman chasing you with a wooden spoon. I was really traumatized. But what I didn't tell my parents and what they didn't pull me out for is the time that there was basically an orgy in the bathroom. I do mean orgy with small children under the age of 7, because one kid saw something between what his parents did and some video. And so he brought us all in, the boys and the girls, and said, hey, listen, so this is what my parents do, so we're going to do this kind of thing. So a bunch of the kids took their clothes off and put their mouths at were places where they shouldn't be, and just to do what this kid was telling us to do. Now I didn't do it. I was over in the corner horrified, but I can't leave now because if I leave, then I'll be by myself. I'm gonna get everyone in trouble. But I remember that, and I didn't tell, right? But I mean, that's how unsupervised we were. That that could happen for an
Mm.
extended period of time.
It's like
Um,
supposed to be one adult for every 6 kids. So anything over 6 kids is supposed to be another adult.
yeah, no, that didn't
Yeah,
happen.
that's true. Because my friend, when she got to the 8 children, she did have an assistant. Because I remember her asking if I was interested.
Mm,
Hmm. Yep.
hmm It's necessary. I mean, again, we were being quiet, so I guess she assumed we were still in nap time. We were not in nap time. Clearly, we were not.
What time was that? Gee.
Right? I
Oh,
mean,
wait.
it was just her, and then I guess she had like a teenage daughter that would show up, I guess maybe after school. So eventually she would show up. Eventually other
Mm.
people would get there, but for the majority of the day, it was her versus 20 kids. She was worried
Yeah.
about the problems. So she was worried about us yelling, screaming, things that we could do to break her house or break each other. Um, but as far as monitoring us and making sure we weren't up to no good, nope. In fact, I'm pretty sure she heard the piece and she just breathed a sigh of relief. She's sitting on the couch, probably having to smoke. And you know what I mean? Like, she wasn't worried. But, when
Hmm.
I think about the fact of what we were able to get into, yeah, I don't know that I would trust an at home place as much as I think about, affordability. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I saw. This little white boy came up with this thing and let us
Oh, wow.
let everyone know what they were doing.
Wow.
Me and the little brown girls didn't. But the white kids did. We watched them. So, what I was exposed to, even though I didn't do it, I still saw it.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure what the purpose was. I remember the little white girl going, ew, it tastes like pee, but she went back to keep doing it, so I don't know.
Oh, Lord.
And his answer, I remember that and his answer of, I know because I pee out of it. I remember that, and like I don't have a lot of visual memory, but I remember that kid's face telling us, and I remember that conversation, like, you know what I mean? And so it's like you have to be really careful because we think about, abuse when it comes to childcare providers and stuff, but
Yeah.
that whole negligence thing can go beyond just, oh, fine, they changed your diaper and, made sure you were fed and didn't hit you. Like,
Yeah.
did they watch you though? Even? interact with you, make sure that, you were doing something peaceful and you know, not orgy in a bathroom kind of thing. Yeah.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
that is too much.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
It's a lot to worry about these days, unfortunately.
Yeah, and parents have to work, and some of the choices you've heard about where the parents would leave the child in the car for a little while, and unfortunately, that turned into too long because it was either too hot or too cold, or just leaving them in general. They were caught, and it's unfortunate, but those are some of the choices that were made um, from the
Mm-hmm.
parent trying not to lose their job.
Right. My parents left me in cars. I mean, not for hours, not when they went to work, but telling me to stay in the car or leaving me in the car because I fell asleep on the drive and then
Hmm.
running into the grocery store or whatever for a few hours, even, or running into a convenience store quick or whatever it is. That absolutely happened. Not when I was well, I hope not when I was a baby, but in my
Hmm.
memory as a kid, I did get left in cars. I make sure all the doors were locked. I was paranoid someone was going to steal me at any moment. So even though it was hot, I wouldn't roll down the window because I was scared someone could reach in and unlock it and steal me, right? But I remember that happening, and I don't remember it being shocking. Like, I don't remember people walking by and going, oh, I can't believe you did this, or, calling police or security or anything. People saw me. It's not like they didn't see me as I'm sitting there staring at them. It was just a normal thing. Like, oh, there's a kid in the car. Okay. So,
Hmm.
I don't know if things changed. So, I mean, what changed? Because I don't remember there really being a lot of these stories. And, my parents used to leave me in cars all the time. So, how is it that now kids are dying in these cars and being left in these cars to the point where it's like it's such a major issue? Because it didn't used to be. Not that I'm saying you should abandon your kids in cars for
Hmm.
hours. I'm just saying, why wasn't it a deadly problem before? What's the difference?
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
There's this product that I love,
Mm-hmm.
and I love it to death. And I
Hmm.
use it for both of my little children, and it was a lifesaver. When you put your baby in it, they go right to sleep. It was perfect.
Mm.
Some people used it wrong and
Hmm.
it caused the death of some infants, so
Mm.
it was recalled. So now
Okay.
I'm not allowed to use that because some people who don't follow the instructions just right, or who may have done something a little off, ended up
Mm-hmm.
resulting in their children dying, or the child may have been just a victim of SIDS while in the
Right.
thing. And so
Oh.
therefore everybody does not nobody is allowed to use it anymore. This
Oh.
was a great product that most parents, new mothers would have been like, yeah, I love that. My child
Uh-huh.
want to go to sleep in that. So
Mm. What
because
was
of that,
it?
it was the Graco sleep rocker.
Mm.
I think it was called the Sit and Sleep from Graco, and it was an incline sleeper. It's like if your child had a colic or anything like that, it will help with that too, so the baby could sleep and everything.
Uh-huh.
What
Mm-hmm.
happens is sometimes people do things, and some may use the machine the wrong way, or some may be careless or something, or a baby might just have suffer SIDS while in it, and therefore it's ruled unsafe, and you can no longer use it. So now I can no longer use that. The same
Mm.
thing with hot car deaths.
Mm.
Uh-huh.
Some
Yeah.
people may be careless. Some people may get used to doing something and then completely forget that they had their child in the car with them as they drive to work on autopilot. And then next thing you know, the child is dead in the car. And so people are reacting, oh, well, that person is killing their kid and this other person's killing their kid. So now if you run in the store for 5 minutes, you're about to kill your kid too.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm. Good point.
Yeah, they are calling.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen this before. Seriously? I think I've had several people who are parents use this before. This is like almost like a car seat setup. Like how is
Mhm.
this a deadly situation? I'm so confused.
Yeah, it does look like a car seat.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's anything about it that is actually dangerous. Like what would be dangerous about the baby being in a semi upright position like a car seat, on his or her back, rocket
Well,
like
they talk about how some you're not supposed to put a baby in that once it's able to roll because then it can roll and get stuck on certain spots and this, that, and other. Some people
mm,
might have done that. They were also, a real small baby, like I mean, like less than a month old, well, not even a month, like less than some weeks old. Their head is really big and heavy. So
mm-hmm.
sometimes if you sit on the incline, their little chin will cut off their little neck.
Oh,
You know, so you
okay.
Oh.
can do that to some babies when they're really small because their little chin will cut off their little neck, and they're like, ooh, 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 and if you
Mhm.
sit down to your chest and let it sit there, it'll really mess with your throat and your neck area.
Mm,
Okay.
You really have to. You got to. Some people don't exercise restraints or exercise. Uh, I wouldn't say common knowledge, but just certain things
Mhm.
that may not seem like the best idea to the average person. Some people still do, and so
mm-hmm.
Okay.
if something bad happens, like the woman that spilled the hot coffee, they don't. Graco doesn't want to be sued for
Right.
people who mishandled their equipment. So it's best to make sure that everybody you're just not allowed to use it anymore.
Mm-hmm. You know, this reminds me of, I don't know if I was watching a documentary or what this was. Maybe it was on the show Explained. It was on some show, I think on Netflix. But what they were talking about is IKEA, and they were talking about a particular dresser from IKEA that has caused the crushing death slash fatalities of however many children. Right. So it's this big thing in the news. It has to be recalled and so on and so forth because basically, if you pull out the drawers, it'll tip. It's there's a major tipping hazard to it. Um, but the thing is it tells you in the directions that you must anchor this to the wall because it will tip. It tells you as soon as you look at the directions, and you have to look at the directions from IKEA because everything you have to put together yourself. It tells you this is not a heavy product because it's not heavy, which is why it's so damn cheap. It will tip. So anchor it to the wall. And of
Mhm.
course, no one anchors it to the wall, and then it crushes their children. And then it's IKEA's fault for saying that, well, we wrote it down. We gave you the warning, um, but it didn't matter about the warning. We should have still known that you were going to not anchor the dresser and put it in your baby's room. I don't know. It just blew my mind because I'm like, in general, everything in my house, and everything in my friends' houses that have children and whatever are anchored. They're just anchored
Okay.
just because my godson comes over sometimes, and that kid likes to climb on everything as soon as your back's turned. So it's anchored to the wall, so that way, just in case he ever makes it to the top, it can't tip over and fall. Um, whether you got dressers, or cabinets, anything that's big and heavy and could tip and is full of stuff, I have anchored to a wall because I could trip and fall against it, and then it falls, and now all my china is on the ground. So I guess to me, I would just kind of like, okay, I understand the hazard and the concern, and okay, if they can reformulate it, great. But like, I mean, there's this whole entire mission around trying to get everyone to sue IKEA instead of um
Mhm.
also maybe trying to get people to A, read the directions, but B, hey guys, let's anchor stuff to the wall because babies like to pull on things and grab on things that they shouldn't. And when they
Right.
do that, it can be dangerous for them. So let's make sure, just like with drawers that open when you pull them. Well, what do? You put a safety thing on that. That way your baby can't open the drawer with the knives and, cut himself into pieces. Like, to me, that's common sense, but it's almost like we don't want to use common sense anymore. Like, someone should make it impossible for us to do the things that are dangerous to us or to our children. I don't know. Like, I mean, that might sound cold and callous, coming from me not being a parent and certainly not having lost a child, but I don't understand why, regardless of what the hell IKEA said about this tipping or not, why it wouldn't have been anchored to your wall anyway. It's a giant, heavy thing in your baby's room.
Hmm.
Well, there's also stories about children being hanged by curtains, but people
Mm,
don't, for some reason, pay attention to the children playing around their blinds and stuff. I'm like, it's clear you do see that the blinds come with a cord, and that cord is a hazard. But a lot of people, I guess, don't think about that fact. If your child is playing around with this cord, they can get this cord stuck around their neck.
mm-hmm.
If they're not smart enough to be like, oh, let me do this to get this cord off. I'm not even that. If they're small and you let them play around this cord, I mean, you don't let a child tongue kiss a socket, so don't let a child play with a hanging cord.
Right.
Right.
They shouldn't have access to it. And, fair enough, maybe you didn't think that they could reach it from a certain place or whatever, but, I remember, like, even when I was a kid, when my sister was born, because we were 10 years apart, I remember all of the cords of everything got tied up. So, like, they were so far away from her being able to reach them, even from the crib, even from standing on top of a dresser if she wanted to try that. Like, there was no way she could get to that cord and hang herself. No way. Her
Hmm.
crib was nowhere near the cords, all of the cords all over the house. Again, same thing. They were tied up and like they were way above my head. That's what you do. You just safeguard. Not, you don't have to learn from it already happening. You just look at anything that could potentially be dangerous at all, right? You pick up everything off of the floor. Why? Because just in case the baby sees it
Hmm.
and when you're not paying attention, that baby's going to put it in its mouth. So you make sure that nothing is easily accessible. Nothing is on the floor. Nothing's hiding underneath couches. Nothing is inside of in their reach, basically. Like, I'm not saying I don't
Hmm.
care about your baby dying, or about your pain and suffering. I do, but that's where my frustration comes in. Is that I do, and it was totally preventable, and not preventable because IKEA should have made a heavier and therefore more expensive dresser, because there were heavier, more expensive dressers for you to purchase. They didn't weigh it
Hmm.
down inside of the store and fool you into thinking it's heavy. You knew it wasn't stable. You knew it wasn't heavy. You thought maybe it'll get heavier with the drawers inside of it or something, not using your common sense. You opened the directions, saw that, and said, yeah, I'll anchor it sometime. But then figured it was fine. It's low. It's this and that, and blah, blah, blah. And you decided to ignore it. So, to me, you put your baby in danger by having not done that. And they recalled this dresser years ago. And still every year or so you got a couple people whose babies are dying from this dresser. And I'm like,
Well, I'm going to sue you because you should have known that I was going to anchor it. So I'm going to sue your company. How about that?
right,
And
right.
that's
I'm
what
going to
they're
sue your
doing.
company. I'm going to
Hmm.
force your company to make it different. Okay, well, now they have a different, more expensive dresser. Is that what you were looking for? Because there were companies that sell that expensive dresser already. IKEA is not entitled to make a dresser for $50 that is weighted perfectly so you don't have to anchor it. And like, no, that's IKEA makes cheap ass college people furniture. You have to anchor all of it. It is all literally light as hell. You know this. It's IKEA furniture. That's, we know what IKEA furniture is about. You put it together yourself. Are you are you a builder? You know how to build furniture? The shit's not stable. That's common sense. And like, again, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just trying to say, like, where do we turn around and say, moms, you are accountable for some things?
You don't.
Nope. Nope.
Oh,
Uh-uh.
Okay.
This is America. Sue for everything. You want to think I have to have some common sense, are you? I'm going to sue you for that. I don't have to have common sense. Are you crazy?
Well, I'm gonna shut my mouth then. I ain't got no money for someone to sue me.
I
So
mean, if you think about it, they get into they talk to people who are in the music industry, be like, "You're not setting a good example for the children." I'm like, "What? Crazy? Your teen daughter? Does your teen daughter want to party with Cardi? I mean, come on
right? Oh my god. It's
Yeah,
human beings.
Prince
Human
is not
beings.
setting a good example. These kids are looking up to you, Prince. You need to be better."
that's right. You had these TV and videos on and expect me to watch this, my child not affected by it, and hold me responsible. I don't think so.
I
I
can't
got other
believe,
things to do.
YouTube is putting more restrictions on the thing because they don't like the fact that all the children watching their YouTube videos get the commercials for tobacco in front of their videos and stuff. I'm like, come on, YouTube, you should do better. Will we throw our kids in front of the TV for you to babysit for 5 hours? You better not put up tobacco commercials. Come on now. Do better, YouTube. Do better.
Right? You should do better. Not me. You should. Oh. Okay. Well, when I was in the 90s and I was a kid, there's a lot of shit that people knew and were exposed to on TV that I was not exposed to. Because even though my parents were young working parents, I
Hmm.
just did not have access, right? Oh, they wanted the TV to babysit me. You know what I had? I had a shit ton of Disney videos, and they would put one on after the other. So, which movie do you want to watch? It was never what TV show do you want to watch? It was what movie do you want to watch? And I got an option of movies, and I could watch that movie because I've already seen The Lion King or Beauty and the Beast or whatever it is 100 times. So okay, I'll watch that one. And then when that one was done, I wouldn't turn on the TV. I got another video because they didn't have time to micromanage what I'm watching right now. So I I was allowed to watch today's special and Polka Dot Door. I didn't really care for Polka Dot Door, but I loved today's special. Um, and that was my TV watching every week. I got to watch from 7 up to 7:30. I could watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune as well, right? And then that was it. Bedtime. You don't get to watch anything else. You don't get to watch late night TV with me and see and be exposed to things that I don't think you're ready for. The end. My house. No, you can't have a TV in your room. Why? Because then I don't know what you're watching. So no. The end.
What?
Yeah.
Responsible parent? What? Huh?
Right?
You know what
Yeah.
gets me? And I don't mean anything by it because I mean I know a lot of people, have conditions and stuff like that. But sometimes some people, they have
Mhm.
children. Like this one woman had a child that was 2 years old and weighed 155 pounds, right? And
Mm.
she said that she don't understand what she can do to help her child lose weight, and that the child always wants donuts, and that she doesn't know how to stop the child from eating donuts. And I was like, and I just couldn't take it.
No.
Wow.
What?
Did you say 2 years old?
Yes, and weighed more than I did at 18.
Did you say
Two.
Two
TWO?
old, TWO, and weighed more than I did when I was 18.
I don't know how to stop my baby from eating donuts. I do. You know what you do? A, you
What?
don't buy donuts so they're not in the house. Boom. There you go. Your
But but
baby's done
but I,
eating donuts.
no, but I like donuts, so my baby eats the donuts too.
Well, then there you go. Because I'm telling you, my parents felt no ways eating stuff in front of my face that I don't get to eat. I'm being very real.
Hmm.
They did not care. So wherever they got that magical donut from, I wasn't getting one. How about that?
Hmm.
That's what it is. Like I don't like they don't own anything. They don't run anything, and they can't reach anything. All you have to do put the donuts somewhere they can't reach them. Boom. Problem solved.
I put the story in the chat about a 150-pound 3-year-old boy who just couldn't stop eating. I mean, they just can't stop eating. These kids, these 2 and 3 year olds that weigh 100, 200, 300 pounds, they just can't stop eating for some reason. I mean, maybe it's the IKEA furniture and the great Cardi B sitting there dancing too much on the screen or something. I have no idea why they just can't stop eating. My God, it's the government. It's coming in. They're coming. Everybody's coming to get us. I don't understand. I think we should all wire up the house and then set booby traps because Alexa's being hacked and telling us that they're going to have sexual predators everywhere.
Right?
Ooh wee.
It's so true. I get like, come on. I don't understand that idea. I don't get it because first of all, so the way my
Mhm.
parents, in fact my whole family was is I eat whatever they eat. There was no special kid food. Whatever was
Uh-huh.
being made for dinner is what I was eating. I didn't get hot dog special or chicken fingers because that's what I like to eat. I better like to eat whatever's being served because that's what I'm eating. That's what's available today. If I don't want to eat it, I can starve. They're good with that. But this is what I'm eating. The end. So that's problem one there. Problem two, literally I would eat like a grown muscle building man when I was like 6 and 7. I could eat a lot. Like I would eat 2 or 3 servings, like giant heaping servings of pasta. I loved pasta, right? So when I got to
Mhm.
like, I don't know, we'll say serving 3, right? I would get like a tiny sprinkle. And then I would try to get serving 4, and I got offered an apple, an orange, some milk, something other than what I wanted to eat. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Because I wasn't really hungry. I just wanted to eat it because it was good and I could eat it. I had room
Mhm.
forever to eat. So I just
Mhm.
didn't get more food. That was it. Like, what do you mean you can't stop them from eating? Like, I can metabolize like a grown ass man. So I got grown ass man servings. Great. But that was it. I didn't get to eat like a 600-pound woman. You know why? Because my parents just said no. And then that was the end of the story. Like, I don't understand. Where's the word no in
No.
today's vocabulary? No, you can't
There
have
you
it.
go with them parents again. I don't know what's wrong with them. There they go parenting. That's that's out of style now.
Right? No is abusive. I was watching, there's this show, it's a Toronto show, and it's called Lee Kim's store, the Kim's store, something like that. And so they're a Korean family. And Korean families are very, strict with their kids and whatever. So this white woman comes into the store with her kid, right? And he's just running around tearing shit up, right? And so Mr. Kim is annoyed. And he was like, stop, no, bad, whatever. And she's like, why are you using such abusive language towards my child? We don't use the N word, right? And then he looks around and he's like, I didn't say the N word. I never said the N word. She's like, and then she covers her kid's ears and she's like, we don't say no. And he was like,
Uh-uh.
what? She's like, yeah, we like to use positive affirming language now. So we let him know what he can do and what he can achieve. And
Oh.
Mr. Kim's like, but he's a bad boy. He's tearing up my store. No, he may not tear up my store. Like, he was like, I'm so confused. What do you mean you don't tell him no? Go stop your stupid kid from ruining my store. I'm confused. What the hell's happening? And she was like, okay, honey, well, that's enough. If you want ice cream, we can go get some, right? And of course,
Uh-huh.
the kid just kept tearing stuff up because he didn't care, because he's just a little terror. And I see this a lot with like white parents here. I've been seeing
Mhm.
it my whole life where white parents don't know how to tell their kids no. White kids and honestly white socialized kids can tell their parents whatever the hell they want. I'll never forget the first time, I think I was in 3rd grade and I was at Chloe's house. Chloe's mom is like the doting mother. Okay, Chloe is Guatemalan. And so her mom's like white Guatemalan. Um and her dad is like more Guatemalan looking like her. So anyway, and her mom was like the most doting, caring mom. Like she knew I was coming over to study, so she made a lemon poppy cake from scratch with from scratch cream cheese. Oh my god, this woman was amazing. She was offering us food and this and that. And then her mom came down and offered something. She's like, "Oh my god, go away, mom. You are so annoying." Right? So her mom said, Chloe, you don't have to be rude. I was just offering you and your friend refreshments. Oh my God, mom, shut up and get lost. God. And I was like,
Mm.
Did you just tell your mom to shut up? Like, why aren't you dead? Are you gonna die later? Like, how did you tell your mom to shut up and it actually made her go away?
Okay.
What happened? And she talks to her. She's like, "Oh, I talk to my mom like that all the time." And then by the time we were like, before we were in middle school, I literally heard her tell her mom to fuck off. It really did. And her
Oh.
mom fucked off. It worked. I'm like, if I spoke to my mother that way, and my mother is not the biggest when it comes to corporal punishment, but I am telling you, I think that woman would figure out how to ball up her fist and punch me in my face. I don't even think it would be a slap or a spanking. I think she will punch me in my face for even daring to talk to her like that. Like, I can't
Wow.
imagine. But see, that's why these kids don't understand the word no. That's why it is that babies are getting crushed to death under stuff that's it's not weighted down. They just do whatever they want. The parents think they should be free to do whatever they want, and the parents think that they should have no consequences or responsibilities, apparently, because just no one has ever told anyone no. No, you can't just put the dresser in there without anchoring it down. Yes, that is your responsibility. Yes, you do have to try hard to safeguard your house for your kids.
I
That's
think a lot of
crazy.
it might have to do with overcompensation sometimes. Like
Mm,
the people who are parents now are the younger generation than I am. The parents now, and they might have felt that their parents were tough on them or something like that. So therefore, they're trying to overcompensate for what they felt was a bad childhood for themselves by being more giving to their children. Like some people be like, "Oh, my mother always told me no. She always said I can't do this, and there was never any food in the house." Or some other thing they felt that they were lacking in childhood, and instead of just dealing with the problems themselves, which is what you're supposed to do, just deal with your problems. They sit there and
mm-hmm,
say, "Oh, I'm going to just do the opposite and go completely overboard with my child." And now you
mm.
got a 300-pound child sitting there in the fourth grade with diabetes and all this other stuff, and you're like, but he feels love because I didn't feel love and all this other stuff.
Yeah, no, I agree with Neek. I think that's straight up abuse. I think it is. Um, I think it's abusive that parents allow their children to get morbidly obese at such young ages. Because you have to feed a baby a significant amount of calories in order for them to become obese and morbidly obese, because their metabolisms are on high because they're constantly in motion because they're kids. And to me, just from an emotional and psychological perspective, you know how those kids are treated at school. You know how they feel inside. You know how they feel when it comes to puberty and dating. Like, how dare you? How dare you be so selfish that you are scared of your kid being mad at you, or your kid saying, that they hate you, or whatever it is, that you will allow them to literally eat themselves into coronary disease at 9 years old. That's crazy to me.
Well, I'm going to throw in a monkey wrench to the last 40 minutes of the show.
Mm.
And I'm sharing on the screen with you that a vegan couple, they fed their children only raw fruits and vegetables. And their child died of starvation. So that's the opposite end of what we're talking about.
They had
So,
serious mental issues. That child was, I think, 18 months and weighed 12 pounds, if I was reading right. And if you're an 18-month-old is weighing 12 pounds, that's the weight of a 2-month-old. So, I mean, I think at that point, those people had some serious mental defects. Because there's no way an 18-month-old weighing the same weight as almost a newborn baby looks anywhere near healthy.
Mm-mm.
so is it the same thing for the parents with the 3-year old weighing 150 pounds? Was there some mental illness there? What was going on?
I think
Well,
so.
the 3-year-old that weighed 150 pounds, yeah, that's definitely mental illness. That's trauma. The mother that did that was trauma. That's trauma feeding. Like the women that are trying to make up for their childhood by overfeeding their child. Or this vegan couple who wanted to keep their children healthy. by underfeeding their children. That's all mental illness because it's all
Mm-hmm.
compensation for something.
Uh-huh. Do they get the same punishment? What do you think about that?
You know
Well,
what?
the thing about that is, if your child is too skinny, CPS will take them away, but CPS won't take away fat children.
So a different punishment. Hmm. Okay.
You know what? I do think it should be a different punishment
Mm-hmm.
because to me, as abusive as I do think it is, I do think that there probably is that connection where you were starving as a kid. You want to make sure your kid's never starving. You went without as a kid. You want to make sure your kid never goes without. And it
Mm-hmm.
is coming from, I feel, the right place. And I do think you can be blind to certain things. You can be blind to exactly how big your kid is getting until they're very, very big, right? Because you see your kid every single day, and it's not abnormal to you, and whatever. Um, you didn't put all the pieces together, but I do think it can be abuse out of love almost. Obviously very dysfunctional, needs fixing and changing, but still abuse out of
Mm-hmm.
love. When people kill their dogs or their babies over this whole stupid vegan bullshit, to prove some point, really is what it is. I don't care that you will only feed your kid vegetarian or vegan. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Because there are actually ways these days that you can sustain a healthy life, a healthy body on a raw vegan diet. You actually can. So for your kids to be starving to death, because these people had a 3 and a 5-year-old who were also severely underweight and had decaying teeth. And they also had an 11-year-old who I'm assuming eats outside, which is why that kid's not dying. But see,
That
the
kid
thing
ain't at
is,
school, yes.
exactly, ate at
Mm-hmm.
school, probably at friends' houses, so it's not as bad.
Right.
To me, regardless of whatever diet you want to feed your kid, if your kid is starting to starve to death, they're getting skinnier and skinnier. They're getting listless. They're hurting basically because that would be very painful to starve to death. Um, you know, to me that's beyond. That's not love, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of abuse that I feel comes out of, honestly, either you don't give a shit or there's something about you subconsciously that wants to hurt these kids.
I
So
mean,
Um.
yeah, 'cause the teeth were they had to be taken out of the ones that were alive. They had to remove most of their teeth.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And I want to throw this out there and then come back to the story. For vegans, as far as it started becoming a little popular in the like 2010, and that was because of the beef recalls and a lot of the celebrities they started doing the vegan diets. So it just started becoming popular, really, for us in 2012. So I just want to throw that out there. It's kind of new, technically. Um, I'm not really saying I'm giving a pass or whatever, but I am just want to put that information out there that is kind of new. Um, Now back with these parents, there is some mental illness because when I looked at their pictures, I said, okay, seemed like
mm-hmm,
something wrong, especially that mom. It just seemed like there's some, mental things going on, and unfortunately, those kids were in school and no one said anything. I mean, and at what point were someone going to say something? Because if the kids are going to school,
mm-mm, they weren't.
except for the baby, of course, but
No,
you
the
know,
other ones weren't going to school either. They
they
were they
weren't
were
going to
born
school.
they were born at home.
Hmm.
They weren't registered in schools at all. So only the 11-year-old was actually registered in school, and the 11-year-old has a different father. That's why the 11-year-old is fine, because the
Oh
11-year-old
yeah.
has the
Hmm.
father to go back to, because now the other kids are they're in the custody of the state, whereas in the 11-year-old is in the custody of her father.
Yeah,
And I find that interesting that that went on as long as it have because they had to come out the house, and
the
maybe I'm
neighbors
thinking about my
didn't even
city
know they
too.
had kids living there.
Okay, and I know for my city, they're coming to get you. They like, hey, we got records that a child was born. Where are they? Oh, they need to be in school. We need to count these children so we can get this money for our city. and get this funding. So it's a little bit different here. I don't know what was going on there, but
I know in
it's
Texas
much
you can
better.
have a child at the house and nobody will know anything about it if you can just keep them in the house.
Really?
The schools won't come around looking. Well,
Oh
because they
yeah.
have a whole lot of homeschooling here too. So
Okay. All
Hmm.
right. That's popular. Okay.
You know what though? I'm looking at this, right? And again, because I just watched this documentary, and I can't say I'm 100% a believer, but what the documentary was about actually is a vegetarian slash vegan lifestyle or diet. And it was this UFC fighter, and he had torn the ligaments in both of his knees. So while he was, trying to recover, he was trying to do research on what's the best way for him to recover, and he came across the idea of this vegetable vegan diet, and it went against everything he's ever believed, because his whole life, and this is most sports people, you think meat before a game, meat to bulk up, meat, right? You'll eat a shit ton of meat and like a drop of everything else. And so this was saying basically the exact opposite, that in fact you eating a vegan diet, so no animal products at all, is the best way to go. So, and he did a lot of research, and this documentary is pretty comprehensive. And you've got like the strongest man in the world. The strongest man in the world currently is a man who is only on a vegan diet, and he's not a skinny boy. Yeah, he's got like a belly, right? But he's really muscular. He's got a belly to him, a lot of muscle, a lot of definition. A lot of these people who they're very healthy, they're in the Olympics, whatever, are on vegan or vegetarian diets. And there's some evidence that supports the fact that if you are eating a very balanced and very full vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, that actually you can absolutely support your body being healthy. Barring any other medical issues you have, right? You
Hmm.
can be healthy. So this idea that, for example, like, well, of course they died on a raw vegan diet. Of course they did. No, that it doesn't actually logically follow that just because they were on a vegetarian or vegan diet that they starved to death. And that's why I say, I'm like, no, these parents were negligent. And honestly, these parents
Hmm.
look like they're starving to death. Like they looked like someone kept them in a basement locked up and only fed them fruits and veg. Like they look starving. They look hungry,
They
right?
look
They
something. I can
yeah,
tell
look,
you.
their
just
their
like
eyes are puffy, like sallow, dark circles around their eyes. They don't look well.
No, not at all. Not at
Mm-mm,
all.
no. And the thing is, if you don't eat enough fats, right? So this is why it's so important for you to be eating a healthy diet. Like if you're not eating enough fat, if you're not eating enough sugar, if you're not eating enough protein, all of which you can get from a vegetable, fruit, and grain based diet, your brain is literally not being fed, right? And you think about, they tell us this all the time. If you want your kids to be able to learn and perform well in school, you have to feed them, because people don't think well when they're starving. So if these people are starving to death
Use your
themselves,
brain.
it probably has altered their ability to think rationally, because their brains are messed up because they're starving to death.
You like my song? Feed your brain. Make it a better place.
just like with the whole morbidly obese children. I mean, there are plenty of households that got Kool-Aid, that's got soda, that's got donuts, that's got all the good stuff going on in it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
they don't have 150-pound 3-year-olds. You know?
Yes.
Hmm.
Exactly. Everything in moderation. You can, I mean, it's not great. I'm not saying you should feed your kids this way. However, there are a lot of kids in North America that are eating that way, and they're not 100 pounds overweight. So you got to look at it, and I don't see like anorexia is absolutely a medical condition, right? Just like overeating, binge eating disorder is a medical condition. And so we kind of get that. I think that what it comes down to is, and I still will say that it should be a different charge, because when you are looking
Hmm.
at your kids starving to death,
Hmm.
hurting and starving to death, all of them, especially the baby, when you know babies are born to be drinking your milk, i.e., at best, vegetarian, You know what I mean? They're supposed to be drinking your milk. They were made to drink your milk. That's why you produce milk as a mother. And actually, that's why you can continually produce milk long past them being 6 months or 8 months old. You can keep breastfeeding them until forever. You will continue producing milk, which tells us that milk was a good way of feeding these very small babies. So you
Hmm.
feed yourself because, resources might be limited. So you feed yourself, and then your
Hmm.
milk feeds the kids,
Right.
right? And then, yeah, they eat a little bit here and there of regular food, but their primary source of food is you. So it's a way of kind of recycling the food. So we know, even if you want to make an argument that humans had a vegan lifestyle, and that's how we evolved and whatever, we do know that babies and very young children need a lot. They need the fat and stuff that's in
Goo
milk.
goo
They need it.
gaga.
Yeah.
Hmm.
If you want them to have brains and think, the zing.
Yeah. Use your brain. Make it a better place.
I'm feeding my
Yeah.
kids steak though. I'm just being real.
Oh boy.
It's
No, she
sometimes,
won't.
it's
Hmm.
sometimes I feel that we as adults, sometimes some of us play the victim role just a little too hard.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Like, so you hear somebody say they'll be like 30 years old and they say, sometimes I feel like this because the way my mother wasn't nice to me, you know what I mean, or I had a rough childhood and stuff like that. And I'm like, at what point do you decide that you're not going to let your childhood define you? And
Probably about 65.
I think that's a problem a lot of people have, and that's why we have a lot of these issues with some people. Is that they don't they're too busy looking in the rear view to live to their future or live to their present. Because I
Hmm.
didn't. If only my parents had pushed me to go to college, then I have a degree right now, and I'd be better off. If only my parents had did this, then I'd have that right now, and I'd be better off. Well, okay, you don't. So now either you get it for yourself or you don't worry about it anymore. But instead of doing that, they'll sit there and be like, well, I'll do this and I'll do that because my parents did this and my parents did that. And it's like they're forever the victim and they're passing it on by doing things to their children.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, that's true. And it works so well for them too. They have no problem blaming their past and or parents.
Yeah.
So
It's like
true.
learned helplessness syndrome, right? I mean, we talk about learned helplessness syndrome with abusive relationships, right? You learn, they did all the studies. You learn that when you're in the electrified cage, but the cage is closed and you can't escape it, eventually you stop trying to run away from the electric shocks. And even when the door gets opened and then you get shocked, you don't try to leave because you've already accepted the fact that the shock is inevitable, even though there's a way to escape in front of you. So, we talk about that, about, abusive relationships, but we forget that we can get stuck in a victim mentality about anything. Um, I am
Hmm.
helpless. This is why you have these parents. The phrasing that Vinda's mom used about this 3-year-old's mom. I just don't know how. It's like it's just impossible. What do I do? I have
Right. Hmm.
Don't let your kid eat. It's very simple. When people are feeding 700-pound people who can't feed themselves, they can't even move anymore. Um, I have a very simple answer for you. Don't feed them. Just don't. Don't let them have credit cards. Don't let them have bank accounts. Don't let them have food in the house, and don't bring it to them. You bring them what you think they should be eating, and that's what they get to eat, and nothing more. The end. That's how. And you know what? When they get down to the point where they can get their own food again, if they want to get back up there, that's on them. But when you enable, as DeAndre says, when you're enabling the ain't shitness, it's worse than the ain't shitness. You're sitting there enabling the ain't shitness and then crying about it. Like, no.
And you know what gets on my nerves when you was talking about abusive relationships? This gets on my nerves sometimes when I hear women say it when it comes to abusive relationships. Again, another victim role. When they say things like, he's cheating on me, I'm waiting on him to decide, if you're going to leave me or not. If you want to leave me, just go ahead and leave me. That right there is like the ultimate victim to me. Like
Hmm.
I can't, he can't. he keeps doing this to me, and he hasn't decided who he wants to be with, and I don't know what to do, and he needs to choose. He needs to choose. Like, stop being the victim, please. Just stop it. Get off the
Right.
cross.
Oh my
Your
god, girl.
sacrifice is not, it's for vain, it's for naught. Your sacrifice is for naught. Get off the cross. Keep on
Yes.
moving. Because the thing is, the man is happy. The man is living his best life. He ain't going back and forth with you people. You know, well, he is going back and forth, but he's living his best life. He's great. You're the only one in pain, but you want him to end your pain, but you won't end it yourself. So why would he?
Right. You've already taught him. By you putting it in his hands, you've taught him you're not going anywhere. You've taught him he can treat you however he wants. He can cheat on you. He can lie to you. Everything he did, he can keep doing that to you because you aren't going anywhere. So you basically taught him where your bar is, and it's very, very low. So why would he change? I mean, with that being said, though, why would you want to wait for him to change? Why don't you have those standards set inside of yourself that, like, sure, I deserve better from him, but since he ain't shit and he's not gonna give it to me, all right, peace out, homie. I'm gonna go find someone who can do that for me.
But he loved me, and I love him. We
Apparently, you don't
loves
know
each
what
other.
love is. Like, love. What is love? When he shows up at your house and tells you you're the only one for him or you're his number one and has sex with you and then disappears again? That's love? Oh.
What is
Like,
love?
you know
Baby,
what?
don't hurt me.
Right?
Don't hurt
No, people
me.
need to give up on the dream. That's what it is. Because a lot of times when you hear this stupid shit, they have kids together. Um, and so they had the dream. And they feel they don't want to admit that they were wrong. They don't want to admit that they were wrong about him, wrong about this, that it's never going to work out the way that they were hoping. So they cling to the dream. They cling to the dream that if they just stay long enough, if they just show enough love, if they're just ride or die enough, then one day he's just gonna wake up and be like, "I'm grown up now and I'm ready to treat you right," and they're not gonna end up being a single mom. They're not gonna end up, with egg on their face with the "I told you so's." I think that's really what it is.
People treat you the way you deserve. You teach people to treat you like
Mhm.
this one person. I do a lot of. I'm getting back into my career, and getting back into my career means that I'm going to have to be around what BGS calls 92 octanes. So
Mhm.
since I'm going to have to be around them, I've been doing, my self awareness stuff and getting myself back into the mindset to be and deal with those people. So I'm sitting here and it's like, let's say you're the type of person that when people come to your house is always clean, it's always spotless, you always have the best wine out, you always have the best smell goods, everything is just on point when dealing with you. Don't you know when you go to visit somebody, they will make sure their house is on point just because you're coming over? Because
Mhm.
they know that you expect that. You
Mhm.
your house is on point, so they will make sure their house is on point. Now, if they, got the messy friend whose house is never on point, then they won't care about how their house looks when you come to visit. They might even
Yep.
throw you in the guest room with the bed unmade or something like that. Like, hey, whatever, he's coming. Nobody needs to do anything special because you have taught these people, your friends, your family, your loved ones. All these people are taught about how to treat you by how you treat yourself every day of your life. If your
Yep.
house is clean, if you expect the best restaurants, then their house is going to be clean when you come to visit. They're going to tell you about the best restaurants. So if they can't afford it, they're going to be like, well, we can't afford it. Here are some places that you might like to eat or something like that. But if you're just like, whatever, then their house is going to be whatever and they're going to feed you whatever.
Mhm. Oh yeah. I absolutely agree. In fact, it's so funny because that's a lesson I teach other people while simultaneously not following my own rules. Um, right? Because the thing is, right, as I tell people, you teach people how to treat you, teach people how to treat you, but not realizing that I was doing the same thing and I didn't like the result, right? I was teaching people that I am the type of person where I'm gonna give to you constantly without thanks, without appreciation. You could do anything to me. I'm still gonna give because I still gonna care and whatever, and I expect you not to care in return, and that's good. This is what a relationship is for me. I've taught people to treat me that way over the course of sometimes decades. And you know, the sad thing is that then when I needed someone and they weren't there for me, I was devastated, right? Because I've been there for you so many times and blah, blah, blah. And I won't say it to them. I cry to other people. But you know why? It's because I taught them that. I taught them that that was okay, and I taught them that that was my expectation. You know, and I had to realize, like, okay, I'm gonna have to break that link, and that might mean I'm gonna lose relationships with people. I'm gonna lose connections that matter a lot to me. But that's what it comes down to. Sometimes that's what you got to do. And I think that we don't like doing that because we're so scared of the abandonment and of being alone. A lot of us suffer from that. That's fear of abandonment. So if I, you know, lay down the law, if I tell you I've got standards, if I tell you that, you know, this is how I expect to be treated and it is what it is, that you're gonna up and walk away and leave me and I'm gonna be alone. Not just that I'm gonna not have you anymore and all the things I like about you, but I'm going to be alone. I'm not going to have anybody if I set standards for myself.
And that is so true, because I mean, if we don't like, that's why it's so important to realize that our life is created by us. Everything about us is created by us. They said that it takes 10 years to form your life. Like where you are right now is the result of 10 years of decisions. So as
Mm-hmm.
2020 is coming, you know, if I want my 2030 to be great, then I have to make sure my 2020 is full of the steps it takes to make sure that 2030 is great. Because your whole life is based on small decisions. If you're in a marriage that's really crappy, it's because you have made several small decisions to get you to that point of that crappy marriage, and so on and so forth. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and you
Mm-hmm.
have to sit back and really think, what about me and what I'm doing is making my life like this? And that is the part that people have a hard time with. Like they'll be like, I've been single, I can't find a good man. Like I was on this show earlier tonight, and this
Mm-hmm.
woman, it's this guy, he does live streams, he gives relationship advice. And this woman was like, you know, she walked in on her man cheating red-handed, and she dumped him, which, you know, whatever. And then next thing you know, she was like, but now I want him back because all I could think about is the good stuff. And I'm like, well, of course it's all you're gonna want him back, because you're not thinking about him as who he is. You're thinking about some fake version of him. You have made
Yes.
him a god in your head, basically. So now you're obsessed and addicted to this fake person that you have created in your head. And she's like, "How can I get over him?" Well, you're not actually stuck on him. You're stuck
Mm-hmm.
on this fake god that you created in your head to substitute for the real man that you actually knew. And a lot of times women would do that in relationships. Like they'll be stuck on an ex, talking some he's my soulmate, he's the guy that was for me and he got away years ago. No. The guy that got away years ago is the guy you got in your head that probably never has existed and never will exist. Because
Yep.
if he was meant for you, he wouldn't have got away.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. It's so true. You know, I did that once. I'm telling you, I did a lot of this dysfunctional shit I talk about. I've done it. Which is why I talk about it, because I know what it's like to be in it. And I also know that treating it with kid gloves does not help. You know, being too soft with it does not help, because as it is, being hard with it ain't gonna help either, but you're gonna remember it later. But I did. I made my first love was a god. In fact, it wasn't just me. Everyone made him into like this god like creature. So when I was sure he was cheating on me, I was sure. I didn't have evidence, but I knew. You know that gut feeling women get, and we just know, we have that intuition. Like I had that intuition, and for years I had that intuition. And I couldn't prove nothing. And then I would find, you know, emails of things and what, and he, and you know, accounts he had signed up for, which clearly was like for him to, you know, cheat. And he'd be like, "Nah, that was an old one from before. The email was random." Fine. You know, I was all heartbroken, but fine. And especially because when I'd bring it up to people who knew him, "Oh, he's so great to you, though. He's so wonderful. He's the greatest man ever. You're so lucky. Stop being destructive," is what I was basically being told. Like, almost like, you don't know how to just sit back and appreciate a good thing. Like, everyone saw me as the problem, and because I'm a bit of a disaster, and he's the one who I should just shut up and be lucky to be with. And, I just knew, and I watched it happen. And then one day I got a phone call because he had broken it off with his crazy ass ex girlfriend. He knew this chick was crazy and vindictive, but he went back to sleeping with her after a few years, and he broke it off with her because he said, I really love Ruby. I think I want to make it work with her. I think I want to marry her, so I'm not gonna sleep with you anymore. And he had been to her house more than once, and she had seen my phone number, so she saved it for just this occasion. And so the second, within a few hours, she called me. I guess she timed it because she knew what time he would leave to pick me up from the go buses that I'd come back from school on. And she waited till I was in the car with him for maybe 10 minutes, and I got a phone call from this chick. And she told me not only about him cheating with her, but with all the other people he had cheated on me with. Because in order for him to get to sleep with her again, he had to tell her the truth, which he didn't mind doing because he's not cheating on her now. So he told her all of his dirty laundry, and she told me. And I was just I mean, when I say, like, my whole world, my whole psyche shattered. And so I broke up with him. But I didn't really break up with him. Like, I broke up with him. We still saw each other every day. We're broken up. I was going to sleep with someone else to kind of get even, so that way we could get back together and, live the rest of our lives together, because he's a god, basically, right? He's the most amazing thing in the world. Our relationship is the most amazing thing in the world. I can't breathe without him, so this is what it's going to be. And it's so funny in that period of time. I mean, we did this whole vendetta against this chick, like, scheming and plotting against her, like she was the one who did me wrong. We did this whole thing where I was dating and I wanted him to date too to figure himself out. We did all this stupid shit. And what I realized about, say 8 months into that, is I didn't really like that relationship necessarily. I wasn't really happiest in that relationship. I was much happier with the new guy I was dating, who became my husband. Um, but I was holding him up like a god. And what happened is, even like 2 years into my relationship with my husband, I was still in love with him. And I honestly thought me and my husband were going to get married. And what I wanted to happen, it's not even just that I thought it would happen, I did. But what I wanted to happen is I wanted it to be that moment where Dwayne Wayne comes bursting into Whitley's wedding and stops it. Because no, you're the one for me. I just know it, and don't marry him, marry me. I wanted that moment. And I thought that was going to happen. I really did. I upheld him to this ridiculous place that he never was. And it took me years. It took me years to finally recover and see him and the relationship for what it really was. Like, years.
Yeah, because we have a lot of us have the problem of idolizing certain people, and you got to realize when you're doing that, because your life is all. The other woman never does. The other person that's doing the cheating is never the one at fault. Yeah, unless it's like a sister or a close friend or somebody that betrays you in their own way. But I mean, like, cheating is never about the spouse. Cheating is always something within us, who we are as people,
Mm-hmm.
and none of us are. Sometimes it's just easier to direct your anger at the person that you don't love instead of directing at the person that you love and you care about, because of the fact that if if they did that to you, it's like, do they really care about you? Or what is And the thing about cheating, that some people, especially when you're younger, you feel like, well, if that person cheated on me, it's because of me and who I am. And it's like, cheating is more like a conflict resolution, as I like to
Mm,
think of it. Like, a person gets a problem in their relationship, and they resolve that problem through cheating. And that isn't, it really isn't about the partner per se, but about how that person resolves conflicts. You know what I mean?
mm. That's a good point. It's a very good point. I know, like with my husband, so he told me with his ex girlfriend, like he was with her for like since high school, like 8, 9 years. They were together for a long time, and he was really unhappy in that relationship. But he's basically a chicken shit, and he doesn't like breaking up with people. So he didn't want to break up with her, but he wanted to break up with her. And so basically, what he just started doing is breaking everything she said. If you do this, I'll leave you. He just started doing all of it. And when she wouldn't
Hmm.
leave, he would just up the ante, do it more, do it worse. And then she still didn't leave. She went and cheated, but she didn't leave. And he was waiting for her to create the conflict, for her to break up with him.
Hmm.
So much so did he not want to address the conflict and address that he wasn't in love with her anymore and everything. So, yeah, that definitely conflict, his ability or inability to resolve conflict was a big reason why he became a big cheater on this girl. And he did it on purpose in a way that it was obvious that he would continually get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when people cheat, I'm like, I tell people if your spouse is cheating on you, I wouldn't even take it as something personally. It just means that they don't know how to resolve a conflict. So something in them is wrong. It could be something about the relationship, it could be something about you, but something is wrong in their mind about something. And instead of being someone that say, hey, this is how we're going to solve this problem, they decided to go about it in another way of solving a problem. By instead of dealing with the problem head on, they hide from the problem and then create a bigger problem in the hopes that maybe you deal with the problem because they don't want to deal with the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's another sign of again victim mentality.
Mm-hmm. It's funny, and people might disagree with this, but in my opinion, a big thing that changed because women are normally much better with, emotional things overall, which includes wanting to recognize, address, and deal with those problems in relationships. And I think men overall generally tend to be much worse at that. And so, it's funny because when I think about everything you're saying, I'm like, it's so true. And I think it used to be able to apply mostly to men. Men were not good at bringing up their conflict, at bringing up their issues, sometimes even addressing their issues. You mean times I've dated people in my life? Like, if I ask my husband right now, tell me 10 things you really hate about me or our relationship, he can't tell me one. Like, putting him on the spot, he cannot come up with anything. Now, I know me, okay? There's nothing about me that is perfect. I am very impossible to live with a lot of the time. So,
What?
I
Oh,
know, shocking. Shut up.
oh.
Right? But I know I am. But he can't bring himself. He tries to push it out of his mind and pretend it's not there or whatever because that's his way of coping because he's
Mm.
scared of the conflict. Even though like with me the conflict is not yelling and screaming and calling names or whatever, but he just would rather everything be great. And he thinks he can just push it to the side. And I think women were kind of, were the gatekeepers of emotional health in relationships. That's why socially still people don't look down on men for getting divorced, but they do look down on women. People don't look down on men for relationships falling apart, they look down on the women. And I think that's why we're the emotional gatekeepers as well. So, to an extent, if we aren't noticing before it becomes a massive issue and addressing it and hitting the nail on the head and helping him work through it, then he's not gonna. But I think nowadays we're not socialized in the same way, so we're not really good at doing those things for ourselves and with women, let alone with our relationships.
I think the problem with that though is like men who who resolve conflict by cheating. If you ask them what the problem is, they're going to dodge the conflict, so they will never actually come out and be straightforward with you about the problem to be solved in the first place.
Mm.
Hmm. That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, how does that work? You just keep on cheating, or
That's usually how it works. That's usually exactly how it works. You sit there and be like, something's off, and they'll be like, no, everything's fine, everything's perfect, but something is off. And
Mm-hmm.
then,
right?
just like when you were saying how your boyfriend, something was off, and I'm pretty sure the girl asked if something's off, and he's like, no, because he didn't want to face the problem. So they just
Mm-hmm.
keep on cheating and cheating and cheating and cheating and cheating until eventually she gets tired of his cheating or something like that. Like people who are serial cheaters, that's why they're serial cheaters. Because instead of actually, you could sit there all day, every day. What's the problem? What's the problem? What's the problem? And they'll be like, there's no problem. Oh no.
Mhm.
And it goes both with men and women. Or
Mhm.
sometimes they'll sit there and say something like they'll say, you know, sometimes I don't feel you give me enough attention. And then
Mhm.
like, well, I give you attention all day. But the thing is, it's not the attention isn't the actual problem. But they don't say the actual problem, so they'll work around it. And then they'll
Mhm.
use that as justification for cheating. Because all in all, part of
Mhm.
them wants to have sex with other people. And
Mhm.
so this all becomes a giant ball, a giant snowball to for cheating. They might want to have sex with other people because they need the validation from someone else. They might want to have sex with other people because they feel like they want, someone to make them just feel that they just basically want to feel needed by someone that's not their partner, or
Mhm.
appreciated by someone that's not their partner, or something, or whatever it might be.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
they cheat. And when you ask them why, they don't tell you why, because they want to avoid the conflict. So it's kind of
Mhm.
hard that way.
Well,
Mhm.
that's kind of interesting. I would assume they would want to avoid it anyway because they don't want to deal with the fact of being caught. But that's very interesting concept, and I hope we get a chance to explore it. Maybe we get some witnesses. That would be
Mhm.
good
Mhm.
because I can't. I don't have any witnesses, experience or anything that I could say on that. Especially with marriage, I definitely don't have that. But we'll pick up on that. Hopefully another time we get some more ladies. We are at the midnight hour, and I
Mhm.
want to thank you guys for coming. I do appreciate it. Again, the show will be every Friday, 9:30 p.m. Central, 7:30 Pacific, and we'll run to midnight. And we'll extend it if we get some more ladies on there. Um, so keep that in mind. You are welcome to come in and talk. The goal for the channel is still the same: freedom of speech. We'll have a little male flavor at times. I do want to have some guests at times, so keep that in mind.
Mhm.
Big hug to you, and you guys have a great holiday, Christmas, if you celebrate it or not. Enjoy the day off or time with your family, whatever you're doing. And
That's right. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to those who are celebrating
mhm.
next week. Cause yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Hope y'all got your Christmas shopping done.
my birthday's Monday, so that's
Oh,
coming up. Plus, then Christmas is Wednesday, and then after that, my daughter's birthday is that Friday. So
Okay.
wow.
my
Well,
That's a lot.
the next
we
week
don't see you
is
Friday. We
real.
know why.
It's real busy for me with the whole Christmas week and everybody's birthday in there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you enjoy. And
Right?
so we'll have the show Friday, you guys. Tell a friend, come on in. And
Mhm.
until then, peace.
All right. Cheers, y'all.